Runs it in the end zone, touchdown.
Feed it, replace. Castle, got a three.
Somehow, some way forward.
Oh my goodness, did you see that? He hit.
And now they got him. Again, floats it complete and into the end zone. His first and goal from the 4. Daniels is going to walk it in for the touchdown.
We are back with another episode of Inside the Locker Room, and we got a special guest with us today. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. How are you today?
Good. You know, look, we've been trying to get you on this pod for a good little minute, but look, you're finally on. But what I want to kick off, the pod is talking about from last week, Bills versus Texans. That's a game a lot of us did not see coming. I think all of us put on the pick on. We had the Bills winning.
Yeah.
And I check back and I see the score and I see that the Bills lost, but it was a good game by the Texans on their side of the ball. But just Tyron, what your thoughts on the game?
I from what I've seen, the biggest takeaways was Davis Mills. Him having 100 more yards and then no interceptions definitely played a part. But I think the biggest takeaway was definitely the Bills O line. I don't know if it was the Bills O line or the Texans D line, because Josh Allen got sacked 8 times for over 70, well, at 70 yards. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. That definitely stood out to me. But some playmakers still made their plays. James Cook had 100 yards, touchdown, stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely think it was more or less the D line, stuff like that.
And I'm looking. Look, I just feel like the Bills. How do I put it? The game was close. But with the Bills, like with the type of team they have, it shouldn't come down to, the final possession for them, to worry about getting back in the game. But one thing I did raise the question is, even though, CJ Stroud's out, how does his team look just going forward, and I'm asking you, one of y'all, how does his team just look going forward with CJ Stroud out? Because the Texans have been winning games that we did not think they were going to win. They beat the Jaguars, they beat the Bills, but now they're going into another week without CJ Stroud. So just how does that look? And Ben, you can really just answer that first.
Yeah, I got you, man. I mean, they've won 3 straight without CJ Stroud. I mean, me personally, it's not something that, we all saw coming. Davis Mills, he calls game last week against the Titans, I believe. And then this week, shows out against the Bills and they take down Josh Allen yet again for, the second time we've seen them taking him down at home in Houston. But the Texans are set up kind of well here in terms of like their division. The division is still kind of close, surprisingly, with the Colts and the Jags still in the mix. But this Sunday Houston is playing Indy. Funny enough, but they are playing away in Indy's house. But it is a divisional game, so we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how CJ Stroud comes back into the mix. But I wouldn't really say there's like a QB controversy or anything. Like people who say that are, in my opinion, more on the casual side. But I kind of like Houston's chances here. They have a top 5 defense in the league still.
See, and one thing I say this about Houston is they're just right on the edge of making, the playoff picture. They're sitting at 8, the Bills are sitting at 7, so they're just right out the playoff picture. And you still got half a season left. I think you got like 5-6 more games, into the season. And so Texas can always catch back up. And Texas, one thing about the Texans, I give them benefit of doubt is because they're injured.
Yeah,
my receiving core is injured. They got players on the O line injured, D line, and just all around they're injured, and they're still finding ways to win. Yes, in the past they did have better records. Yes, they from previous seasons, but what they have right now, I think they're making do with what they have. But the next thing I do want to talk about is the Cowboys versus Eagles. That's a game that it went both ways. A lot of people had their arguments. Oh, some people said like just because they didn't beat us week 1, that that the Cowboys weren't going to win. But but the Cowboys, they recently just traded for Quentin Williams. They just traded for Logan Wilson. So they just traded for players. They just got Overshawn back. They got Ravel Jr. back. They got all these players back. So coming into this game, it was a lot like this is going to be. This is the true defense that we haven't seen all season from the Cowboys. And on the Eagles side, can they maintain first place? Can they maintain the dominance in the NFC East? But one thing that I told people all the time with the Cowboys is Dak does not have a losing record at home against NFC East opponents. So that was going to make it a game. And we saw that. Cowboys came back down 21. Oh, my gosh. Cowboys came back down 21, and they were able to win the game off a walk-off field goal. Tyron, just your thoughts on that game. I know you also I know you had your opinions on the game. Just what went into that?
Well, I know you had to feel good as a Cowboy fan for one, because seeing your defense step up and all that, Quentin Williams making a big play, definitely looked good. Me personally, as a spectator, trying not to be biased, it was good to see both quarterbacks playing how they did. I think they both put up over 3 touchdowns combined. Well, not combined, like individually. So it was nice to see. Biasly, it was good not to see Saquon have a good game. But other than that, man, it was just a real good game. Competitive AFC East is what you want to see from both teams.
Yeah, Ben, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like I mean, you guys embarrassed the Raiders last week. I still have them ranked as the worst team in the NFL still. I don't know what Vegas is currently doing, but I mean, anyways, this week for you guys, it was a comeback win for you guys, obviously, against a divisional opponent. You mentioned, being, Dak having a good record at home versus NFC East opponents. It's going to be interesting to see this Thanksgiving also how the Cowboys stack up against the Chiefs. I think that defense has gotten so much better with Quinton Williams. Obviously, you guys acquired him from the Jets through draft picks, and then pair that with Kenny Clark and the rest of the defense that you guys already have, and you guys haven't looked that bad these past couple weeks. So let's see what happens this Thanksgiving. I mean, I'll ask you guys this now: do you guys see the Chiefs taking it tomorrow, or actually, yeah, tomorrow Thanksgiving? You guys see the Chiefs taking it tomorrow, or the Cowboys?
I'll let Deuce go first.
I'm just gonna say this really quick. I really don't care. Like they said, the Eagles matchup was important to see how Dallas defense, really is. That's a rivalry game, and I tell you, rivalry games can go anyway.
Yeah,
But
I thought y'all already looked improved against the Raiders.
yeah, no, like,
defensively.
they look improved. But and I say this with the Cowboys, what's going to make their season and how I'm going to probably view them going forward is how they perform against the Chiefs. Because I knew the Cowboys were going to beat the Eagles just because I know how Dak and how they perform at home. But against the Chiefs, this is prime time. And the Cowboys have their fair share of making play teams that don't look good or teams that have just looked average. And I'm not saying the Chiefs have looked average all year, but I'm just saying they have their ways of making teams that who don't look the best of the best look like they're elite Hall of Famers. Okay. So now let me say this. Do I believe that the Cowboys can go out and win the game on Thanksgiving? Yes. But it's gonna be a matter of the defense has to step up and the offense has to perform well. But they have to contain Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and the Cowboys just have their fair share of making these players look like Hall of Famers. And yes, some of these players on this team are Hall of Famers, but if y'all get what I'm saying, they know how to make teams look better than what they actually are. The Cowboys' biggest weakness is their own team, because they will shoot themselves in the foot and lose themselves a game. Look, our pick'em is going to be posted tomorrow morning. I have the Cowboys winning, but it's just going to be a matter if they shoot themselves in the foot or not.
Yeah, I think the one thing I would put in there too, I think Trey Smith is injured for y'all, and I think that's going to play a big part because they do got big playmakers on the D line. So it's just so y'all can still withstand that pressure and things like that. But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean Jamal Williams also keeps having these good rushing games. I mean, as long as that keeps going, and Dak keeps putting up the ball, and Pickens is also just on a roll too. If you think about it, honestly, just as much as CD. Obviously CD was out. CD was out a little bit with an injury, but I think Pickens has had a monstrous year so far, and he's honestly been a machine.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then the Cowboys in the Eagles game also only had 2 sacks in the game, so they are showing that they are good against the defense. It just depends on with Trey Smith being out.
I agree. But I would say this going forward though, the Cowboys is they just due to them starting slow, it's going to take a lot from them in the playoffs. But they're getting into the thick of their schedule. These are all games that now, like earlier, okay, in the season, I didn't think they're going to win. But if the defense continues to step up, because if you look at the analytics and the stats, the Cowboys have been playing. Their defense has been an average defense ever since the Quentin Williams trade. If the defense continues to perform to par, the offense continues to play lights out. CD and Pickens both get on the same page. And like, I'm not saying they're doing bad, but CD, you just got to shake back from that game that you had against the Eagles with all them drops. But if everything continues to play well, I have no issue with the Cowboys winning this game. But one game I do want to jump over to now is the Browns. You know, the Browns have recently said that Shedeur Sanders will remain the starter, even though Dylan Gabriel was returning from injury. What are y'all thoughts just on his first game, Ben? And I'm gonna let you go with this first because I know you're one of the biggest Shedeur fans out there. You said all season that look, you thought he should have been the name starter over Dylan Gabriel. He finally gets his start. They pick up a win against the Raiders. Just what do you think just went into that, and what are your reactions off of that the game?
I honestly was expecting him to honestly have a good showing against the Raiders. It was a bad defense that we saw against the Cowboys that they, put out there. And it was honestly embarrassing, that game for the Raiders against the Cowboys. They let up a safety and all that. But Shedeur, he went out and it wasn't a perfect game for Sanders. He threw a pick and, he still had those rookie hiccups that you were expecting to have out of a rookie. But, those two bombs and those two touchdowns that he did throw, I mean, what more could you ask for? One thing I do want to comment though on is, Kevin Stefanski. I honestly feel like he's not even trying to hide it anymore. I mean, just smile for once on the sideline when Sanders makes a big play. But anyways, like I couldn't be more proud of Sanders. He's the first rookie Browns quarterback to win since 1999 in his first start. So that right there, props to you, bro. And, this week the 49ers come to town to Cleveland. So, if the Browns could get to 2 in a row, man, I mean, that'd be something. I honestly, I'm picking the Browns this week to upset them. That is my upset of the week.
I
already
have
put it
I,
in the
I have
chat.
the
So
49ers winning, but I still think Shedeur will go out there and put on the show. The only reason I satisfied the 49ers winning mainly is just because once Brock Purdy starts to get more acclimated into that offense from returning from injury, the offense I think it will get to how it was before, how we saw last season.
I honestly think they're putting Brock Purdy out there even too early, even still.
Yeah, but I mean,
he
and I
turned the
think
ball over so many times last game, even still too.
I think the Browns, I think they have the pieces, but I think coaching is what's going to lose them the game against the 49ers. I think when it boils down
That
to
is
it,
also
the
true.
49ers just have better coaching all around.
Yeah. That one punt that the Browns had at like their 30, I don't know what Stefanski was thinking there, but yeah, they killed that drive for no reason. But
I was gonna say they got some good momentum, but the only thing I'm worried about is it is against the Raiders. You know what I mean? Like that's what I was worried about against the Cowboys too. Even though they still looked good, it was against the Raiders the week before. So he got a lot of help last week, especially Myles Garrett with the 3 sacks, and then both running backs got in the end zone. So got a lot of help. He's going to need it again this week. The 49ers got a ton of playmakers. So I think it's going to be a good game though.
And I mean that's what I like how you mentioned, like that's why I said I couldn't judge that the Cowboys like couldn't even make a prediction about the Cowboys so quickly, due to them playing the Raiders and due to them just playing the Eagles. And for Shedeur's case, they just played the Raiders, who Vegas may not see him as the worst team in the league, but I kind of see him as the worst team in the league. They did just get rid of Chip Kelly, and soon it has to be the head coach, Pete Carroll. But the next topic I wanted to jump to is the Chiefs versus the Colts recap. But I'm gonna say this. That was a one that I didn't expect. Tyron, you had the Chiefs winning. Let me figure out how to ask you this question. How did you know that the Chiefs were gonna be able to pull off this upset? Because the Colts been riding high all season with all the momentum.
So it's not really like I knew. I'm gonna say this though, because I watched Daniel Jones for a couple years, bro, and he's been playing good all season. But no, listen, bro, I'm not hating. I promise you, he has a ton of help. Just like a great offensive line. He had Jonathan Taylor. He's got good receivers, and the defense is playing well. But you're going, I think it was at Arrowhead, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
They went,
they were in Airhead.
you're in hostile territory. He's going to be in a tough game situation because Patrick Mahomes is going to stay in the game. You know what I mean? I was just counting on Daniel Jones to play how I'm used to him playing. Honestly, it was just quarterback to quarterback because both D lines are pretty solid. Secondaries there, and they both got playmakers. So that was more or less the lean. Wasn't I don't think I made it a lock or anything, bro. But I definitely was counting on him to play like he usually does.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's not a bad way to look at it at all. Yeah, go ahead, Juice.
I looked into the game. Look, and I always say this. I don't count out the Chiefs. Like I never really count out the Chiefs. But for some reason, I was like, okay, the coach has been having all the momentum this year, and they're not going to prove me wrong. But the one thing I did not look at was that the Colts were playing in enemy territory. Arrowhead, I would say this: Chiefs may be looking at they may be 6-5, but when it's a game on the line and you come into Arrowhead, that's going to be one of the most difficult stadiums to perform at. Do I think this loss is going to hurt the Colts? No, I think the Colts are still going to finish out the season strong. Maybe as the first seed, maybe as the second seed. It's going to go to them or the Patriots, in my opinion, or the Broncos. It's going to go to one of those three teams. The Chiefs, I think the Chiefs just use this as momentum to close out the season because yes, I do think the Chiefs will make the playoffs, although they're sitting outside the playoff picture.
Ooh,
That's going to be my prediction. The Chiefs will make the playoffs. I don't see in a world. I just don't see them miss.
inevitable.
I can't imagine them in the world without them missing. As long as Patrick Mahomes is on that team, I just can't imagine it. But what I do want to jump over to now is our Thanksgiving Day games. Ben,
Yes, sir.
we got tomorrow. We got Cowboys, Chiefs. We got
The Lions and the Packers too.
Lions, the Packers, and then we got the Ravens and the Bengals. I'm just gonna let you just start it off. Just some games, some takeaways from these games that are coming up.
I mean, the first one to start us off, Lions and the Pack. I mean, NFC North matchup right there. I mean, it's super tight right now. Everybody, I mean, there's three teams that are like a game away. I'm pretty sure. First place, Lions, Bears, and the Pack. Huge loss for them. Josh Jacobs being out, of course. Tucker Kraft's been out for a while, of course. So and I believe their backup running back as well, Wilson. I don't know if he got banged up the last game, but it's been really worrisome for this Packers offense when it comes to injuries. And Matthew Golden hasn't been involved really at all, as much as we've wanted to. But we still got Christian Watson on that Packers offense. But looking at the Lions side of things, I think the Lions take this one. Jared Goff has been looking extremely well lately, and Lions they're putting up some wins here. I think they should be able to take it at home on Thanksgiving, which is rare, which is not something we're usually used to. The Lions winning on Thanksgiving, and especially against the Packers. But I don't know. I just think Jordan Love has looked a little bit off lately. Nothing against the brother, because I've met bro. He's mad chill. Mad nonchalant, Jordan. But I mean, you gotta start being less nonchalant and stop throwing it to triple coverage. But that's all I'll say.
For sure.
I mean, look, the game I'm really just looking forward to for me is more of just two. I'm gonna say this. It's two of them. Obviously, as you know, as a Cowboys fan, Kansas City and Dallas. I'm gonna say this for Dallas, Kansas City. If Kansas City wins this, it's just gonna put them back on the right track to fight for to win the division. But on the Cowboys side, the Cowboys, you're in the thick of your schedule. You have to win these games. Like you have to win these games if you want a shot at the playoffs. And the Cowboys are very much still in it. But what I will say this, they have to win this because the NFC side of the playoff picture, if you look at it, these are all winning teams. The Panthers are not even in the playoffs right now, and they're over 500, I believe, or right at 500. So it's gonna take some part on the Cowboys winning. But I'm gonna say this, I got the Cowboys pulling off the win in Dallas. I got Green Bay pulling off. I don't know if you even want to call this an upset, but that's what I got them beating Detroit at home. I kind of think just how Detroit performed last week against the Giants. You can't perform like that.
It was a close game. But don't forget too, the Packers did play a close game too against the Giants.
And I'm gonna say this, but on the Lions, with the success the Lions have been having this year compared to the Giants really should have took that game. I don't think they should have won. I don't think the Lions should have.
Yeah, Jameis went crazy.
But
you gotta tell me, bro.
And then I'm just gonna give the last game. I'm gonna give the last game. It's not really a game that I've been looking forward to, but I'm gonna give it to Baltimore over Cincinnati. Baltimore is just ever since Lamar's got back, they've been winning and winning and winning. They started 1-5, and they're just at the top of the division right now. So that
Mm-hmm.
goes to show a lot. Tyrant,
Yeah.
are there any games on for Thanksgiving that just standing out to you that you're saying like I want you need to watch these games, and this is why this is gonna happen?
I'm gonna give y'all a pick for each game because the first one I definitely like the Packers. Just literally just because of how the Lions played last week against my Giants. Like we got in the backfield to Goff, even though he got to the playmakers. It's just I don't know. I don't know because Josh Jacobs is in, so it's a really strong lean for me with that too. Even though they just lost Matthew Golden, but that's more or less the lean for that one. The Kansas City Cowboys game, I want to go Cowboys so bad, but I feel like it's just going to be kind of the same thing. It's at the Cowboys Stadium though, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that
they're in
could be a big
Dallas.
factor. That could be a big factor, but I'm gonna have to skip that one for now. I think I gave you in the pick 'em. I might have did Cowboys, but I think it's good value on the Cowboys, especially being at home. And then I do like the Bengals to pull the upset though. My main reason, I think Joe Burrow is gonna be back. And even though the Ravens have been winning, bro, it's been against bad teams. It's
Mm.
the Dolphins. They got the win over the Vikings, but I think McCarthy was playing and he really hasn't been doing too well. Then you got the Browns, and then it is the Jets. You know what I mean? And they're only putting up like 20, 28 points most. So I don't know. It's just more of a lean, and they struggle against top receivers, and especially against Cincinnati. It's a bad, like I'm from Baltimore, bro. It's a bad history of them against wide receivers in Cincy. So AJ Green
Mm.
really comes to mind. It gets
Mm.
bad.
Then
Yeah. Y'all
I
defense is always banged up. I mean, you guys are always I mean, not you guys, Baltimore, I'm saying, is always banged up on defense, and it seems like they're always back to square one. But I could see what you mean there and see the way you lean maybe towards Cincinnati. We're finally getting Joe Burrow back, so it's gonna be interesting to see how he performs in his first week back from injury. So
I'm telling you, I think it's going to be. They got more like an offensive explosiveness with Joe Burrow there, and that's something that the Ravens can't really contain. But yeah, I want to ask though, because y'all been mentioning y'all don't think the Raiders are the worst. Who do y'all think is the worst team in the league?
for me, honestly, it's a toss up because at first, I had the Saints on there, but the Saints. I've been looking at it how the Saints been performing with the roster that they have. I kind of give them a benefit of the doubt,
Yeah.
but the three teams I'm stuck between are the Raiders, the Jets, and the Titans. It's one of those three.
you said three worst teams.
Or just who y'all thought was the worst. You can give your top three if you or your
Oh,
worst.
I mean, hey man, I've said this in conversation. I believe I said this in the last podcast episode that me and Deuce did. But yeah, Jets this season. I mean, I don't know why people expected much still. I started off the year by saying that it was not going to be a year to expect much. But they still didn't give that much help to Justin Fields, and then when they did, wide receivers couldn't catch anything. But anyways, I'll stop ranting about the Jets. Raiders obviously in there. Free Ashton Genty, man. He needs a better O line and a better coach, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Nothing against Pete Carroll at all, but I just don't know. I just don't know what's going on over there. I mean, blame it on Gino, I guess. And then yeah, Titans, I could agree. Titans, I could agree with that one. But to be honest, like I don't even think Cam Ward, he hasn't, obviously he hasn't been playing like good per se, but like you can't really blame him. There's nothing out there in Tennessee right now, and also Calvin Ridley had that terrible injury. So now there's just Tony Pollard out there, in my opinion. So hopefully they get more help out there. But yeah, I mean, as we inch closer to draft season, guys, it's going to be, interesting to see, how the board also develops as well as the seeding. Um, Interesting to see these AFC teams that we saw like haven't been good in so long, like the Broncos, the Colts, Patriots, stuff like that. So playoffs will be really interesting this year. I still don't think there's not really like a clear cutthroat like number one. Like yes, Rams are probably number 1 in my power rankings this week. Patriots are probably right under them, but it's going to be really interesting this year to see like which teams outlast which, because one piece could fall and then that's it.
I agree. But look, basically just wrapping up this podcast, as always, Tyrone, you're always welcome on the pod. Just a quick little one. I will say this, look forward, because me and Michael do have some more HBCU content coming out. And I do have a 30-day or a December calendar coming out with content coming out every day for Inside the Locker Room. But as always, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. This video will be going out on Instagram very shortly. So as always, stay safe, continue to support, and help us get our following goal or our subscriber goal up to 300, because we're almost there. But as always, thank you for watching.